I'd like to begin tonight with a moment of honesty. Despite the jolliness that I bring with my deliveries, this is not my season. I'm not a winter. I'm a summer. And as my melanin-saturated skin grows paler with every cruel gust of wind, I take comfort in sweaters and soups, and especially brown liquors. These are the silver linings I cling to while I wait for bikini season to swing back around. Thank you so much. Tonight's delivery is an old-fashioned, and I'd love to begin with a little bit about its history. Picture it. Late 1700s America. Cocktails began to creep over to our shores from Europe. The old-fashioned's predecessor was known as the whiskey cocktail, which consisted of whiskey, sugar, water, and bitters. In fact, that's what a cocktail is. It's the combination of those four things: a spirit, a sugar, a water, and bitters. And nothing so captures a cocktail in its truest and simplest essence, quite like an old-fashioned. So we move from the 1700s into the 1800s, into America's first cocktail heyday, and whiskey cocktails make their way into many American bars. I'm just going to keep that there. And they're amazing. They're delicious. They're perfect. They're beautiful. And there's a guy named Jerry Thomas. And Jerry Thomas is the grandfather of modern-day bartending, and he writes in his seminal 1876 cocktail book that a cocktail may be improved by moistening the edge of the glass with a piece of lemon. And so, the improvements began. And these 19th century bartenders, they began to play around a little bit. Everyone wants to put their own spin on things, beyond a simple lemon twist. They began to add other things, like little splashes of European liqueur, like chartreuse or maraschino or absinthe, things like that. And there are some bar patrons, sometimes the older ones, sometimes the ones maybe set in their ways. And instead of ordering these newfangled, improved whiskey cocktails, they began to clarify that they wanted their whiskey cocktails the old-fashioned way. Just the whiskey, the sugar, the water, the bitters, please and thank you. And over time, the whiskey cocktail the old-fashioned way got its name shortened to the old-fashioned, and here we are. I sometimes think, whenever I'm making myself a little old-fashioned, I sometimes think about these bar patrons. The ones that are puzzled by modernity, watching the world speed past them, the ones that are complaining about improvement for improvement's sake. You know what I mean? I imagine a row of Fran Leibowitz on their bar stools, scowls on their faces as they mumble into their drinks, "If it ain't broke, why fix it?" Spirit, sugar, water, and bitters, America, with all of our forward thinking, we certainly do romanticize the past, don't we? We hear it politically with rallying cries to restore our greatness. We see it on our TV screens with rosy depictions of yesterday. Another moment of honesty. I loved Woody Allen's movie Midnight in Paris. Did you guys see that movie? Fantastic, highly recommend. Owen Wilson's character, he's struggling to write a novel about a nostalgia shop, which honestly I would read. And he finds himself transported to 1920s Paris, into the circles of Hemingway and Picasso and Gertrude Stein, his artistic heroes. And then he finds out that they glamorized the 1890s, a time that they thought was the true center of the world in Paris and all that. You can't catch a break. I also quite like that television show Mad Men. Oh my gosh. I'm not a big TV watcher, but the tumultuous 60s, beautiful, beautiful design. I was very enamored with the skinny ties, the slim suits, and of course, the cocktails. The Manhattans, the Mai Tais, the Old Fashions. We ignored, or at least tolerated, the smoking, the womanizing, the overindulgence, because we gotta dust off our old cocktail books, We gotta go rooting around for those triangle martini glasses. I'm not sure if it was Mad Men that inspired America's last cocktail renaissance, or if it was the other way around. But Old Fashions and John Hamm were both on the menu. In season 4, Don Draper begins an episode titled The Summer Man with a commitment to curb his alcoholism. We hear his voiceover. "My mind is a jumble. I can't organize my thoughts, and writing feels like work. I've never written more than 250 words, not even in high school. God, I was lazy. I should have finished high school. Everything would have been different." That was my John Hamm impersonation. Wasn't that good? Thank you. A few scenes later, he's back in the office. They're trying to come up with some ideas for some clients, and a sales exec, as per the routine, hands on a kitschy tumbler of brown liquor, and the camera holds on his handsome, handsome face. He is torn about how to proceed. He does not kick his drinking habit in season 4, just in case I'm spoiling that for you. But I remember watching that episode and wondering, why are we glamorizing the gluttony on our screen? And I remember ruminating on this particular rehashing of kind of like a tired trope at this point, right? The anti-hero struggling with a bottle, where the show creators just masking a lack of originality by setting the show in the glamorous past just beyond our memory, where we, the viewers, just distracted by the fashionable suits and glassware. I remember watching that episode with a cocktail in my own hand. I believe I was drinking an old-fashioned. I remember thinking, did I get sucked into the very trap they set for me? Spirit, sugar, water, and bitters. Do you know who else did not finish high school? Fran Lebowitz. And just like Don Draper, she finds writing to be a chore. Now, if you don't know who Fran Lebowitz is, she kind of looks like this from the hair up. She's worth getting to know. She is New York. She is no bullshit. She is annoyance personified. She is a lot. And, I'm usually a little trepidatious of anyone who concocts an identity out of loudly proclaimed dislikes, But she's smart and she's witty. I really appreciate that. And she's kind of grown on me like a mold over these years. And I really appreciate her conviction to stay rooted to the past. Fran does not own a cell phone, although she communicates this by boasting loudly that she's the only person in New York without a cell phone. You know what I mean? She laments newness like city bikes and not being able to smoke in a restaurant. But she is not afraid of AI because this is coming from her. She has made it a point to not know what that is. When I heard that, that's when I began to warm up. She's not half-baked about anything, and when she's asked about her opinion, she always gives her bleak analysis of the situation, but she always pulls from a wide range of facts and folklore. She hated Bloomberg, ferocious critic, and she hated his attempts to turn New York, in her words, into a different type of city. She complained endlessly about his anti-smoking laws. She's basically a human cigarette. I am not a smoker. I don't like secondhand smoke, but I had a small pause when she put it this way. Artists come to New York to be around other artists. So if you have Hemingway and Picasso and Gertrude Stein all hanging out, smoking, drinking, talking shop, and then one of them has to go outside to smoke a cigarette as per the dictator mayor's new decree, which conversations would not have happened? Which artistic collaborations would have died on the spot? Whenever I hear Fran string together an acerbic analysis of the state of the world, she pulls from this, that, and the other thing, and it's sort of like a well-crafted cocktail. And I have to admire someone, even if just one person, to stand in the torrent of change, in the hurricane of innovation without succumbing to it, to stand with arms wide open, to yell, "This is psychotic!" It's just as comforting as brown liquor on a chilly winter's day. Some call her cantankerous. I call her old-fashioned. And to be honest with you once more, because we're all friends now, I've always felt a little old-fashioned myself, ever since I can remember that. I remember turning 21 and thinking drinking alcohol wouldn't be fun anymore because, I'm old and now legal to do so. I remember when people started getting cell phones and feeling a certain type of way when some friends would leave cell phones on the dinner table. And I remember when my bartender coworkers began to call themselves mixologists. I remember when they donned their suspenders and got cocktail-specific tattoos. I remember, them getting all serious and thinking that cocktail making is a science, very serious in their cocktail orthodoxy. I like the word bartender. The job is to tend the bar, and if the word for the job isn't broken, then what exactly are we trying to fix? You know what I'm saying? Thank you. I have embraced some modernity though, and I have to say this, I have a cell phone, but if we're gonna communicate, I'd rather talk to you on it than text. I recently got rid of my paper date planner. I'm using one of those newfangled online calendars. And until very recently, I stopped putting 2 spaces after a period. So maybe, thank you. I'm not so set in my ways. But my soul does feel old-fashioned. A couple years ago, I made a conversation game called Social Alchemics. It's for sale right up there. Come and see me later on. Because I wanted to harken back to a time before cell phones sapped our attention spans. Back to a time before social media centered our own experiences. I wanted to create evenings where people could take space and share their story, create evenings with permission to really lean into your curiosity, to really, really listen to people. I wanted to create evenings that felt analog and magical the way that I imagined they used to be before all this technological improvement. You know what? Enough talking. Let's make ourselves a whiskey cocktail the old-fashioned way. Would you plunk a little something while I get myself set up? Thank you so much. Something nice and old-fashioned. Oh yeah, that's nice. I like that. Okay. Oh God, see what I'm saying? They don't make them like they used to. Can you all put like a wish out there that this thing is gonna open up?
Oh.
What if I can't make it?
Is there?
Oh! There we go!
Yay!
The unexpected gift of getting the fucking thing open. All right, here we go. So what do we need for a whiskey cocktail the old-fashioned way? We need a spirit, some sugar, some water, and bitters. Bourbon is our spirits. This is the brooding Don Draperness of it all, but whiskey by itself is not glamorous, so we're gonna gussy it up by making it into a cocktail, you know what I'm saying? That's a glass. Sugar, 1 bar spoon of sugar. Sugar is the romance. It's the wistfulness. It is the sweetness that we associate with yesterday, the romance of the before times, but it didn't feel quite so romantic when we actually lived it. Water, a splash of water. You could measure this, or you could just go with the flow. Go with the flow, kind of like Owen Wilson dripping it up with Hemingway. I like to go with the flow, and this is more, it could be just as much about cocktail making as it is about life. You know, when we go with the flow, we let go of our need for perfection, on our need to get the cocktail briefcase open in time. You just sort of like let things go the way that they're gonna go, you know what I'm saying? Some days are gonna be boozier, some days are gonna be sweeter. You know, kind of like Ariana Grande. We all need a little less conversation, a little more touch my body. Thank you so much. Great. We're gonna add our 2 ounces of bourbon. Thank you. And then 3 dashes of bitters brought to you by none other than Fran Lebowitz. Listen, if we're gonna live in New York, maybe we just accept that there is no other city that we can live in, you know what I mean? And maybe we embrace it by criticizing it, you know what I mean? Like a lack of criticism is maybe a lack of optimism, because we have to hope that things get better. My God, they have to. And then one big fucking ice cube. And then we're gonna stir. The bigger the cube, the slower the dilution. And the more time that takes, it takes a little more time to cool the cocktail. We feel ourselves age as we stir. And then a lemon. We are blessed to be living in a time of technology and globalization and refrigeration. So we moisten the cocktail glass's edge with a little piece of lemon, the smallest of improvements. And there we have an old-fashioned, a holiday gift for me, a holiday gift for you. Old-fashions are available at the bar. Order them responsibly and tip your bartenders generously. Thank you so much. Oh, hello.